Good afternoon and welcome to the final Kerry Garden Show of the year. Alan Finn checking back in with you here at a very Halloween and festive looking Boils of Killorglin. I'm here with some pumpkins and some decorative fruit and my old buddy the Scarecrow. But we won't be scaring you today. We'll have lots of great tips to finish off the show, to get you through the winter, and also hopefully some fruit ideas as well too. Right now though, I gotta find my partner in crime for today, and that is Trish, and I'll be going to join her right now. Well, for the very last time this year, we are here in Boils of Killorglin. That's looking a little spooky today, Trish.
It is indeed.
And there is an eerily absence of one particular man. Your psychic Ger, he's happened to be off.
He's off today, I'm afraid. Yes, off today. So he's missing the show, but he's still around.
Oh, he'll still be here, no doubt. Absolutely, absolutely. But listen, you're here today, and what are we going to cover on our last shows? We're going to talk to everybody about a little bit of fruit.
Yes.
And also just some tips.
Couple of jobs,
for the winter
Alan.
jobs.
I can't have people doing nothing while we're off the
Trish,
radio.
you are the taskmaster. You really are. So we're going to keep up with that. So where do you want to start this week?
I suppose a lot of time people wonder, when do we plant fruit? It's an excellent time of the year now to be planting fruit.
Okay.
First of all, we ran out of apple trees. We have them back in stock now at the moment as well.
Okay, right. So apple trees were very popular. Is it a lot of people?
Yeah, a lot of people are planting them now this time of the year. The same with plums as well and pears. So we have all of them in stock as well at the moment. Fruit trees then,
so why is it the right time to plant them now? Because I would have thought that with the ground and the frost and the wind and stuff like that.
Okay, I suppose what it is that the plant is well mature and well rooted before it fruits next year.
Okay.
So say for example, if you were planting it next May, June, you're not going to get that amount of fruit that year. Whereas if you plant it now,
you're giving it a good 8 months to kind of get itself set
and
up.
It'll be well able to fruit then next year.
Okay.
So like that then, we have the white currants, we have the red currants.
Hold on, white currants?
We have white, red and black.
Now red and black I would have heard,
yes,
but white is a new one.
There is, there's white there. So
it's
here
at the back there,
the white ones there. So they're fabulous as well.
Okay.
Like the red currants, they can be used, jams and used in desserts and things like that as well. But they're fantastic. Now with the currants, say the black currants, the red currants, the white currants, they're bushes.
Okay.
Right? So there's no need for support with them at all.
Right.
So you plant them independently as a shrub on its own. One shrub will do fine.
Okay.
There's no need to be planting 2 or 3 for pollination or anything like that.
Right. Oh yes, with some certain fruit trees, of course,
like the apples and all that, you do need the
pears,
pollination. So they're quite happy, they're quite vigorous growing, there's no problem. Now again, this is the time of year, if you have established fruit bushes, that you'd actually prune them then as well.
Okay.
Now, I know this is not a right bush to show, but say if you have a big enough bush, and what you really want to do with a lot of the fruit is to keep the centre of it clear.
Okay.
So if there's any branches that are crossing into the centre, you'd actually cut them out. Now the main reason for that, say for example, even if you had gooseberries that is thorny, obviously it's going to be harder to pick out the berries.
Get out the berries,
And also as well, if the berries are all on the outside, the sun ripens them that much quicker than as well.
Okay,
because if they're in the centre and all the leaves are on it,
they'll be covered and they'll
never get the sun.
Okay.
And again then, with the currants then, you cut the branches back about a third.
A third?
About a third.
Okay, so that seems a lot, but again, I guess people are always kind of a bit wary when they hear that. I'm like, oh, I don't want to cut too much, but
about a third, you can.
Bit. All right.
And like that as well, it's like the roses, you have buds on them. Now it's very hard to see. If you have a bud on the outside, cut it to that one. So that means when that shoots out in the spring, it's going to go this way. Whereas if you cut that one here, it's going to go into the inside.
Yes.
So try to cut to an outward facing bud. Again, if you call in, myself and Ger will show you how to do it properly. So they're great. Now they're independent, but the raspberries, they do need support.
Okay, obviously when you were talking about the independent, I knew there had to be one that would actually be the opposite. Okay, so raspberries.
These are called canes then, is what they're called, raspberry canes.
Okay.
So what you usually do is that you'd put up a post about 6 foot apart, run 2 wires, one low down and one high up. Say low down now, you're talking about 1.5, 2 feet high from the ground. The other one then about 5 to 6 feet high.
Okay.
They will grow to that height.
Right.
And as they're going up the cane, you just tie them onto the wire.
Okay.
And that supports them.
That's the support
that
that they
supports
need.
them.
So are we talking really against a wall, Trish? Is that kind of what you're looking at? Or
No, if you have the posts and wire, they can
posts and wire.
independently
Sorry, yes,
grow
yes,
on their
of course,
own.
yeah, yeah.
But if you have them up against the wall, make sure the sun is shining back
Against
onto
that,
the wall,
yeah, yeah.
onto the wall. But you'll need to support them onto the wall then as well if you are putting them up against that.
Okay. And do they literally just shoot up in that one big
They
cane
do,
the way
yeah.
they do?
And like that, then you can spread them out. You could tie that one here and here, and they'll actually fruit so
They'll
well,
thrive out
and
that
they're
way.
absolutely fabulous.
Okay.
Again, the looking after of them this time of the year, if you have raspberries growing already, these are what called is new canes. So basically what you're doing is you're cutting out the cane that has fruited this summer.
Okay, right. So
Right.
the one that's actually produced the fruit this summer is the one that you cut back.
At this time of the
At
year.
this time of
Now,
year.
how you will know it is that it would be deep brown in colour, the stem of it.
Okay,
and see
I can
these
see
new
it
growth
there, yeah.
here, they're pliable, they're soft, and they're kind of like a light greyish
But
green.
further down the bottom, then you can see that brown.
Yeah,
So
well,
there
that
it is.
brown is fine there, but
Yeah.
if you've got a big thick stem, it's kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones you cut it right back down to the ground.
Down to the ground.
Right back down to the ground.
Okay.
And that allows then the new shoots to come up.
Okay.
And these new shoots will be the ones that will fruit next year.
And so is there basically only one kind of fruiting in each cane? Is that kind of what it is?
It's like this year, say there's 3 branches there
Mm-hmm.
now, right? You would have had this year as well. So them 3 branches would have been cut out of it, and then you have the new growth then coming up again.
Right.
But like fruit is very easy grow.
Yeah.
And like what the production that you get out of it is absolutely brilliant. Like,
Okay.
yeah, and once you got the space, as I say, if you've got a piece of wire or a wigwam or something to support it, and they're self-sufficient then as well. Now, keeping into the theme of Halloween and all that.
Yes.
We've got the hazelnuts.
Are you going to be dressing up now and going out trick-or-treating?
I don't have to dress. The mask is on already.
You know what? I'll definitely have some sort of face paint on me. I just know it knowing my kids. But one thing that kids don't tend to like are stuff, but it's very much associated with Halloween.
It is,
and I remember
yeah.
from going around trick-or-treating, monkey nuts, yes, but hazelnuts.
Hazelnuts, and we can grow them ourselves, Alan, which is
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic. Now, this can grow into kind of like a small tree or a large shrub, so make sure you have the area big enough
Okay.
to hold it then as well. But they're easy grow.
Yeah.
Like you'll see them in the ditches as well. We were talking last week about informal hedges.
Yeah.
You could also put in a hazelnut as well.
Okay, yeah.
And it'll be absolutely fabulous and it'll grow along. But they like kind of a moist but well drained, if that makes sense, not in wet soil.
Yeah.
And a moist, it'll grow in sun or it'll grow in semi-shade.
It does definitely semi-shade, because I remember like myself and my 2 boys were walking through part of the Killarney National Park.
Yes.
And like you've got massive trees, but you'd see the hazelnuts
The
underneath
hazelnuts
them.
underneath,
So
yeah.
it does kind of a
Yeah.
lightly shaded area.
Oh, it
is
does,
kind of
yeah,
what it
and
is.
there's no problem. And
yeah.
again, sure, they're fantastic. It's great for the kids to be going
Yeah.
out looking for them as well and picking them and
I
everything.
know, I was very disappointed I couldn't find any. I used to remember cracking them with a stone when I was younger, and we used to have great crack
Yes,
with the
yeah,
with
no,
the
and they're
hazelnut.
fantastic. And again, the leaves of them turn kind of a yellowish colour then in the autumn then as well, so it adds to the colour.
Now I'm pulling up a blue jay, or as everyone else would call them, some blueberries.
Blueberries.
So tell us about
yeah.
the blueberry right now.
Blueberries are another fabulous fruit that you can grow. You can actually grow them in a big, huge pot if you didn't have the space, or you can plant them directly into the ground.
Okay.
They like a moist soil, but they also like a peaty soil.
Okay.
No lime in the soil for them.
Right.
So if you have a limey soil, as I say, you can put it then into a pot. All of these now would fruit during the summer months. So you're talking about June, July, or whatever.
Yeah.
And again, that turns a fabulous autumn colouring.
The leaves
yeah,
and the
in
stalk, is
autumn
it?
then
Yeah.
as well. The turn looks a fiery red, and
Oh,
it's
wow.
absolutely fabulous.
Yeah.
But the fruit in it is fantastic, and the benefits of blueberries or any of the fruit we've been talking about is
Yeah,
great.
yeah. Now these aren't quite fruit
No.
as such,
No, they're
but they
not.
are very nice and decorative and kind of
Exactly.
suitable for this time of year, Trish.
Yeah,
So
like that now, just remember we still have plenty of winter bedding in stock. Christmas is coming, Alan. I know I'm on Halloween.
C word. Come on, let me just get over Halloween first.
But you have the lovely red berries, and them
yes.
red berries,
it looks stunning. It's really, really
they'll
nice.
be there till next February.
Yeah.
So like,
'Cause the
they'll
birds
give you
won't
great
take 'em.
No, they won't. They don't like
so
them.
they're literally just for display.
Just
and
for ornamental,
lovely
and they'd be
ornamental.
lovely in pots now around the door of the house.
Yeah,
We've plenty
fantastic.
of pansies. We
Yeah.
have the regular cyclamens that we'd have every year. All of them can be planted now, and we've plenty of them in stock.
Brilliant,
And there's
brilliant.
a lovely other skimmia here then as well. This is,
Oh, this
if you
is a
had a
fantastic
big
one,
pot
yeah.
now, that's a lovely one. Red buds on it, and the red buds stay on till about February, the end of January, February.
Yeah.
And then it comes out into a white flower, and it's scented then as
Oh,
well.
stop.
And they're
Beautiful.
extremely hardy then as well. And
Yeah.
again, you could dress that nicely with a variegated ivy underneath it,
Yeah.
some kind of blue or yellow pansies then, or even white cyclamen would be fabulous under that. We do up pots here as well in the garden centre.
Yeah, I'd seen a few there that James had done up now. They look great.
James will be doing them up,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
window boxes, pots. A lot of people put pots and graves now this time of the year as well. So we'd have the right plants to put them. If you're planting them yourself, just come in and we'll show you the right ones for it, so that they'll be nice and hardy.
Okay, so listen, that's great. It's lovely to talk about the fruit and everything like that. You've got a little bit of, are we talking about the fleece as well?
Well, now that autumn has come, it's getting a bit more chillier.
It's not too bad today, actually.
No,
it's
not, but you still have to watch your plants.
Of course.
So if you've got any tender plants out in the garden, say your geraniums that have been flowering the whole summer, you want to save them until next year, make sure you bring them in before the first frosts. If you've got begonias, we had big, huge, Ger had them in his own garden there. I think we forecasted over the summertime. They're the big, huge flowering begonias.
Yeah.
They can be lifted in the winter time before the frost. They can be dried off.
Yeah.
So what you do is you lift the whole begonia, any dead foliage or anything, take it off, let it die down naturally. When it does die down naturally, take away all the dead leaves. Just leave them dry out and they'll be fine for planting.
Dry out in the shed?
Dry out in the shed, yeah,
okay.
Dry out in the shed.
And then just replant them then again in the spring?
Replant them again in the spring, give them a feed, and you'll have them for next year again as well.
Okay, fantastic.
Now, if you've plants outside, sometimes like the camellias and the rhodos will be in full bud, or you've got a lovely plant that you love for around the Christmas, like the hellebores or something. The frost is coming and you don't want it ruined. We have fleece.
Okay.
So what you do is you just put it over. It's like a blanket for them.
A little blanket,
keeps them warm. And even if a lot of people, we were talking there one week about seeds, planting seeds, make sure you protect them from the frost and as well.
So keep an eye on the weather forecast.
Keep an eye on the weather from now on.
Hopefully, if it's ever accurate, you know, of course, there's always thing. But if there is a cold spell, we always do kind of know when there's a cold spell coming.
Exactly, yeah. So like that then, as I say, just to watch for the frost. Watch for the frost and watch your plants. And even if you have your citrus oranges or lemons that you might have had out in the patio over the summer, bring them in. They won't tolerate being out over the winter time at all.
Okay, so the last few tips, Trish's tips, few tips over the winter. What sort of things do you think people should be kind of looking out for in the garden, as well as protecting everything? You've covered that.
Yes,
and looking after everything like that. But
I know we did say last week, I think as well, if you wanted to get rid of your algae, both on your lawn and on your paths. Now this is a chemical-free one.
Okay.
So it's just good to note. A lot of people don't like using harsh chemicals.
Absolutely.
You know, if they've got pets or the kids are around the lawn or the paths or whatever. So we do have in stock chemical-free ones. It might take that bit longer for it to work, but it will work. It will work. And we also, as well, for your own lawn. Now the lawns will be getting wetter.
Yes,
as
they are starting to get a bit soggy.
So what I would actually do is raise the blade of the lawnmower as well. Don't cut it very tight this time of the year. Because if you cut the lawn too tight as well, it actually encourages more moss too.
Okay.
So keep it a bit high, and if it's very, very wet, try not travel on it.
Okay.
Do you know, it all depends. You can know yourself. If the dry days are there, go out and cut the lawn.
You put your foot in it and all of a sudden you're sinking. Don't do it.
And that then is still time. You have up until about maybe the first, second week of November to put down your autumn feed.
Okay.
Now, as we said before, the autumn feed, it doesn't grow the grass or anything.
No.
It's not going to spurt it on. What it does is it strengthens the root of the grass and protects it over the winter. And that'll actually kill the moss then on it as well. If you have a lot of moss, it's a good time to get rid of it, because if you have moss there, you don't do anything, you have all the rain
is going
and
to
you're
come.
back to
it'll just keep going.
Of it for next spring then as well. So just to be careful on that thing.
Brilliant.
The other thing as well is trees. Make sure over the winter just to check your tree ties.
Yeah.
If they need a stake, put a stake on them. And again, as I was
rake up the leaves.
That's the other thing. Rake up the leaves. Yeah.
And keep the garden tidy and kind of move them away.
Another thing that adds moss into your lawn, if you leave the leaves
they'll cover
on the moss,
the moss will come over. Yeah,
yes, exactly. And that just encourages more moss as well. And as we say, you can compost all these things as well.
Yeah.
If you're tidying up your garden, whether it's tidying up your shrub beds that might have weeds, whether it's the moss, just compost them all, and you'll have fabulous compost then next week then as well, or next year. Not next week.
No,
year.
There is no next week, Trish, because that is where we are going to have to leave it here for the garden show. It's been a fantastic season. We've had lots of fun with the videos. Yes. And of course, Ger is not with us today, but of course we have a massive thanks to Ger for all of his involvement in the show during the year, and of course yourself, Trish, to everyone here at Boyles, to James, who's always kind of helped out with preparing the show and and looking after things while we're tied up with this. So listen, Trish, thanks very much. Of course, Yara's here. Call in, everyone can call in over the winter. You're still here, but until the new year, till 2022, that is pretty much it from the Garden Show. Remember, you can look back on any of our shows on YouTube and Facebook, and also on the Radio Kerry Facebook page. Until next time, hope your garden's looking well, and we'll see you next year. Bye-bye.